Hello, everyone. It's Jerry Brown with the Paw Dog Sports here. Haven't seen you guys, haven't been able to reach out to you guys in a while. It's been really busy around here. Um, but wanted to get back with you on this open end on what dog shows might look like here in the future. How do we stay safe if we're going to be at dog shows, whether they're outside or inside? I think it's an important subject that a lot of people may be interested in. If you know somebody that may be interested in this subject, please, please, please hit that share button. And I certainly ask that you subscribe to the YouTube channel so that we can get information out and I can get information back so that I can find out what you need to know and I can do more of these types of updates. So having said that, let's jump into today's presentation and take a look first at the Dow Jones numbers. As we were doing before, we were looking at the volatility more than even what the numbers were. You can see the numbers are still ranging 23,000s, 24,000s. Don't see it getting up into the 25s. Don't see it dropping down to the 22s. There is still an awful lot of volatility, though. If you look around here, you can see how this thing goes up and down all the way through here. So where I just highlighted, you can see how much change there is in the market. What does that mean to us as dog show people? Volatility stops people from spending. Whenever you have a volatile market, people tend to hang on to their cash a little bit tighter. You have to consider that dog training is pretty much a luxury item. So the more that you have this volatility, the harder it is to sell services. So I sure would like to see the volatility go down some. We did not have a good day today. It went from a minus 350 to a positive 370. It was a 700-point swing throughout the day. We ended up not so bad with just this 377-point swing, but the volatility is still there. If you look at 700-point swings in the market, that's 3% of your wealth, of your retirement that could be gone in a day or that you could gain in a day. It can go both ways. But the volatility, the point is the volatility makes people hang on to their money and less willing to go out and spend it on items such as dog training. Let's go ahead and we'll see if we can't jump over to the coronavirus numbers. You can see here that I've actually added some 7-day averages because there were still so many spikes in the 3-day averages. I was starting to have some trouble making sense of some of this stuff. So I added in the 7-day averages. Starting with the United States, you can see that even if we just look at May, 7-day averages started around 27,000 cases per day. It's dropped off down to about 23,000 per day. An awful lot of that effect is coming from over here in New York, where you can see they were up around 4,000 or 5,000 early in the month. Let's call it 3,000 or 4,000 early in the month. And now they're hanging down in here in the low 2,000s. So an awful lot of the decrease is coming just from New York. They're doing a great job of staying inside. I don't know how their economy's doing, but as far as coronavirus stuff goes, they're doing a good job there. So their 7-day averages are hanging down here, down in the 2,000s. And you can see Texas is even catching up to them. Now, one of these lines in here on this chart is the day that Texas reopened. So, you would expect that with more people out and about, more businesses open, there should be more transference of this virus. I'm not a bit surprised at that. I'm actually kind of happy that it didn't double. So if we would have seen the infection rate, I guess this is an infection rate. If we would have seen this, especially this 3-day or 7-day average double, then I'd really be concerned. But we're not seeing that at all. So my hope is that some of this is actually the result of better testing. If we're doing better testing and we're testing more people and we're still testing at an 18-20% positive rate, then these numbers should go up. That's just a result of testing. That's not necessarily the result of an increased infection rate. So these numbers could be a heck of a lot worse. I'll say that for them. One of the things I wanted to see were my Georgia numbers. Let's see if I can get Lotus to let me get over to the Georgia numbers. Here we go. You can see over here that they reopened about the same time Texas did, actually maybe even a couple days earlier. So we see a little bit of a spike in their numbers and then some stabilization, where they're staying in around 700, 600 cases per day. Looking at the 7-day averages, most of these are staying under 700. There's a few days they're above 700, but it doesn't. I was afraid that Georgia had opened up kind of willy-nilly. Those numbers are staying down. So that's the good news. There is good news on the home front here. So I'm really happy to see that these numbers are staying down and not just blowing up all over the place. Let's talk about, let's start with my little microcosm here called the Paw Dog Sports. We did open back up the first week in May, but only in a very limited way. All we did was we started having our 6-week classes. DePaw is divided into 2 types of classes. One is a 6-week class where a student will buy a block of classes, and it's 6 weeks long and it has a subject matter. And then we have these ongoing monthly roster classes that are more geared towards competition level classes like an agility or rally. We opened those 6-week classes, but we took them down to where we did short one-on-one sessions to do them. Everybody has seemed really happy with them. It's busy trying to get them done. It's busy trying to get schedules done. Thank you to the people around me that have done that. They've done a fantastic job getting these people in, getting them notified. Students have done a great job of getting here when they were supposed to be here, because they're just little short segments that they have little tiny windows to come in here and do dog training, and people are making it and they're abiding by the rules. And we do have a lot of rules, but they're abiding by the rules. And so we feel like we're keeping this place as safe as we possibly can. So we also opened up some private lessons in agility and obedience. We do more agility privates and obedience privates, but those are open for registration on a limited number. And we've had quite a good response to that also. Again, it's one-on-one. So about the most we've had in the building at one time is maybe 6 people. So we're really keeping our numbers down to try to stay as safe as we possibly can. We do a lot of disinfecting. One of the things I learned from the last video is the difference between sanitization and disinfecting. I'm from Texas. I think we use those words, as the same an awful lot. If you smelled my hands right now, you'd smell Clorox on them, because we do a lot of disinfecting. What I'm worried about this virus to me is like Russian roulette. If I walk into the wrong place, I end up with the bullet in the chamber and I'm pulling the trigger. So I really want to make sure that there's no bullets in that chamber, as everything I can do to keep that from happening. So we require face mask, with the one exception of when you're running your dog in agility. It's hard to run with a face mask on. So we let them get away with not having it on then. What worries me is you're out there and you're pretty loud with your dog, and that's the way that this virus is put out into the air. I understand that the mask I have on really doesn't stop me from being infected by the coronavirus, but at least with my mask on, if I were to be infected and not know it, an asymptomatic spreader, then at least I'm not getting my client sick. So I'm containing those droplets within my mask. So we do require a face mask. We're hoping that we're going to be able to open up in June to more classes to get the monthly roster classes going again. I'm sure those are going to be broken down into much smaller classes as well. Probably not one-on-ones. I don't see how we can really do that, but I think there's some steps we can take with the video and the walkthroughs and some stuff like that. We may even have an opportunity for you guys to be able to view some of that stuff on a subscription basis. So, you know, stay tuned for that. I would say for the foreseeable future, we're looking at smaller classes and face masks around here. So, you know, I think we can get ready for that. I have my supply of face masks, and, you know, I use the cloth face mask that can be washed. I'm not taking face masks that's PPE for the medical people or anything like that. But, you know, we're trying to do the best we can to present classes in a safe manner. Let's shift over to shows real quick. On our shows, we've seen some statements now from the AKC, American Kennel Club, and NADAC, North American Dog Agility Council. If you guys haven't seen these statements, I'd highly encourage you to see if you can find them. Maybe they're on their websites, or maybe you know somebody that has them. These are well-written statements on from both parties that can help you understand ways to be safe, you know, and what dog shows might look like. I'll just hit some highlights here rather than just reading these statements, because these updates seem to always go long. I always think I have 3 minutes of stuff to talk about, and I end up with 25 and 30-minute podcasts. So in lieu of just reading, let's hit some highlights. I think the big agreement is outdoor shows, if you can do them. That's definitely the best venue for safety. You can spread out more. You have more airflow. The droplets that contain the virus will be spread much wider, much quicker, and much less chance of spread. One of the things we have to address is, how does this virus spread? And I don't think we know the answers to that yet. If anybody really knows the answer to that scientifically, I'd love to hear that. Is it from breathing? Is it from touch, contact-based? What is it? I'm trying to address both just in case. I'm doing face mask, and then I have some steps that I'm taking with disinfecting to be sure that we get the touch base down. Outdoor shows, way to go if you can do it. Anybody want to come do an outdoor show in Texas in August? Yeah, me neither. 103 degrees and 70% humidity. I think we're going to have to go indoors if we're going to do shows. Do we not do shows? I don't know. Maybe we don't. Maybe we do. I think everybody has to make a choice on whether or not they feel they're safe whenever they, you know, look at what the facility's doing, and then decide, is it safe for me to be in that place? How at risk am I, should I get coronavirus, of having a bad outcome? So there's a lot for everybody to consider. Social distancing is important, but you hear so many different things. Masks don't protect the wearer, they protect the person that you're talking to, or that, you know, the people around you. So every time I go to the grocery store, or every time I walk into my shop, I am very thankful every time somebody wears a mask. I may not say thank you to everybody, but I am appreciative of everybody who has a mask on. There are a few high-risk areas that I feel like we need to address for shows. One of the highest risk areas I feel like are going to be ring crew and course builders. Course builders are out there and they're grabbing stuff, and they're trying to get a course out as fast as they can. And I think we're going to have to back off of that a little bit. I think we're going to have to make sure that we're safe. I've seen a lot of stuff about gloves. Those of you who saw my last podcast know that I'm not a big fan of gloves. The little rubber medical gloves, as soon as you touch something that has coronavirus on it, when you touch something else, you've just moved that virus from one place to another. You haven't stopped somebody else from getting coronavirus by wearing those gloves. Because as soon as somebody else without gloves or with gloves touches that and then touches an eye or gets it up around the respiratory area, then they can get coronavirus. So then there's the issue of how do you take them off? There's a specific way to take off those gloves that will minimize the contact with the virus. But not everybody knows how to do that, and we forget to do it that way because we are not professionals that do that every day. I know I don't wear rubber gloves every day. Maybe you do, but I don't. I think we're really going to have to lean on judges to do a good job of nesting courses so that we don't move so much around and we don't touch everything. When we do touch stuff, I feel like everything should be disinfected right then and there. I'm walk around here whenever I'm doing my private lessons with a rag that has already had some amount of Clorox on it. I use a Clorox water solution to disinfect. I already have that rag that has some dampness on it that I'm using to pick up stuff. I hope my turf doesn't end up with white spots all over it, but you know what? If I end up with white spots and I don't get anybody sick, that's a win. As far as I'm concerned, that's a win. I'll make a little comment here. I mentioned the gentleman that passed away up in Minnesota in my last podcast, and I did get an email back from someone who knew him, and it was rather sobering. It was really rather sobering to understand not only did his wife lose him and he lose his family, he lost his dog too. His dog was named Sonic. Sonic still sits at the door waiting on Dad to come home. That's pretty sobering when you think about it. This thing ranges so much further than just the people. Let's keep it as safe as we can. I really like the idea of rather than having gloves, I like the idea of everybody having a rag, because then they can pick up the bar with the rag. It has some disinfectant on it. And then we also, when you get done with the course build, it doesn't take that long to run around and hit the jumps and the bars, at least the bars, jumps and bars with a rag real quick. And, you can knock that stuff out in no time. So, and the more you get the Clorox on the rag, the more disinfectant you have there. So it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. So I like that idea. Leashes is another big problem. Whenever you pick up a leash and somebody else has touched it, it's a little bit of a problem. I would like to see, I know that AKC and NADAC has said you can use a light leash that you can fit totally into a pocket. I'd really prefer that be required, that you can't put your leash down anywhere, that you have to carry it with you. The least contact you have until we know how this virus is transmitted, I think the better off we're going to be. Maybe we could institute something where it goes into a bucket. And so one bucket goes, instead of picking up the leash, you take the whole bucket over to the exit gate. Then from there, the bucket that's empty comes back to the front, quick wipe out with the Clorox rag onto the next run. Hopefully that makes sense. But that way you have buckets going back and forth instead of just leashes. Scribe sheets is another thing that can be rather problematic. So, you can use the scribe sheets you can use buckets for the scribe sheets as well. I, again, would prefer it being carried with a rag than with gloves, because the rags at least have some disinfecting qualities to them. Chairs. In this facility, we've always had a row of chairs up front. That was kind of a common row. I think that's out for now. I think people need to be asked to bring their own chairs. I think that's a much safer way to go. and I don't think you should share chairs. If you want to sit, bring a chair. We need social distancing, so a lot of spacing in the crating areas anyway. So it's going to open up things quite a bit. So it'll be completely different. So bar setting, again, I like rags. If you like gloves, let me know. I put a pair of gloves on and then have a rag. That's really the way to go because that keeps the Clorox off your hands. Soap and hand sanitizer, that's going to be a must. We have been able to find some. Hopefully everybody doing shows has been able to find some. We have gallons of this stuff now. We have 2 big gallons of it, and as well as a couple other big bottles that we were using until we got in our big gallons. If anybody wants to know where those came from, just email me. I'll let you know. Email me, leave a message here, however you need to contact me. I saw a number somewhere with 50 people max in a show. Wow, that's a lot of people. I don't know. I'm not sure how to do that and be safe. Maybe there's some ways we can hold that down, at least for an indoor facility. You know, what I see is your results area, awards area, and walkthroughs. Those are going to be where and briefings. Those are going to be your high traffic times. Yes, we can direct our building. So we have a building flow here where you come in and you go to the practice jump. There's some questions whether or not you need to have a mask on then even. You know, I feel like they're pretty close to the people in the crating area, but we'll have more discussions with clubs as those go on. But, you know, what are correct walkthrough sizes? I'd rather see us do a whole lot of shorter walkthroughs. You know, why can't we do 10 to 15 people walkthroughs and have them 6 minutes? That way we're doing 18 minutes on walkthroughs, whereas if we did 2 walkthroughs for these, it would still be 16 minutes. So it's only a 2-minute difference. This is one of the places where I think dog shows will not be as efficient for quite some time as they used to be, if you want to be safe. Crating, oh man, you talk about problematic. To put 6-foot spacing between everybody where you put a 6-foot bubble around them on an inside show, you're not going to get a whole lot of dogs in here. You're not going to get a whole lot of people in here, that's for sure, and not a lot of families. So that's going to lower the limits. And, you know, maybe one thing you could do is assign every other spot where you have little dog, big dog, little dog, big dog, and then do shifts. One of the comments on the AKC write-up was that if there's a way to do shifts, so maybe you do 4, 8, 12, 16, you know, how we split walkthroughs, maybe those are the only people in the building. You'll have more courses to build, but I could see you starting with standard, 4, 8, 12, 16, and then do premier standard, switching off to jumpers. All this is 4, 8, 12, 16, premier jumpers, and then those guys are done for a while. They haven't done a game yet, but those guys are done for a while. Then you come in and you pick up big dogs, 2024. Start with premier jumpers, premier standard, over to the regular standard. I think I did that wrong. Do your jumpers and standard together. I think you know what I mean. But that way you're doing it in shifts. But what you're going to have to do is your trial secretaries are going to have to be able to say what time are big dogs going to start, and what time will open novice start, and what time will game start. It's going to slow down the efficiency, and there may be some long days, but we will be running less dogs because you can't have as many people in here. So that's just one of the solutions I have for, you know, how can we make dog shows safer? Biggest solution for dog shows staying safe, If you're sick or you think you may have come into contact with coronavirus or you've been on a plane in the last 2 weeks, don't come. Just don't do it. Please be considerate of your fellow competitors. I don't want to have, I never want to hear a story about a dog standing waiting for dad to come home again. Um, that was really, that really hit home with me. Um, when you're coming to a dog show, check your own temperature. You know, there's been some talk about, you know, clubs having a thermometer and checking everybody. I think you ought to check your own. You know, by the time you get into this place, you could infect 3 or 4 people before you ever take your temperature. If there's a chance you have a temperature, you probably know it already. So I'm not sure how much good it does to have a club or a facility checking your temperature. You check it. Be responsible. Stay home if you're sick. Stay home if you have a fever. Stay home if you have a cough. You know, otherwise we can start coming out a little bit and we can start regaining our lives back. But let's do it in a safe manner. Trading out of vehicles was another suggestion. I think that's great if you're at an outside show or you're, you know, but chances are if you're at an inside show, you're probably there because it's hot outside and you don't want to be crating out of your car. So that's, you know, I feel like crating out of your vehicles is a solution. It is a suggestion. If you have dogs that can stand it, go for it. It makes more room. It's less risk. But I don't think we're going to get a lot of people crating out of cars in July and August in Texas. One of the really good suggestions that I saw was for people to have their own pens. I'm still a little bit worried about check-ins on boards because if as you check in, you're putting your hand down on that paper. I feel like maybe the best thing to do is to keep those things out, not check in until everybody's ready to run, and just have the gate steward over there and call it out. You know, hey, Dagger, are you here? Yep, I'm here. You know, and everybody just be responsive. You know, it's kind of like taking roll when you were in elementary school. Let's take roll again if we have to. You know, let's do what we need to do to keep safe. Combining jobs. You know, the more you can combine jobs, the less people you have at risk. So timer and scribe, when it's allowed, let's combine them. You know, that's what I think. The other thing, I hate to say this, but unentered dogs, spectators, it hurts my business not to have those people come in and see these shows, but for the short term at least, I'm afraid that they need to stay out. So my guess is they probably are anyway, but I think, you know, I think it's dangerous to have them in there. So that's just kind of a quick deal on what I think shows might look like. One of the things that I haven't seen yet is I would like clubs to be in charge, you know, to have somebody in charge of seeing that things get disinfected. Whether it be during the day, at the end of the day, after course builds, whatever it be. I think those people, there should be somebody that can say, here's your rag, here's your gloves. You know, somebody needs to be in charge of making sure that people keep their mask on when they come out, that they don't come out of the ring and they keep their mask off, or they're just huffing and puffing with no mask on. Those are the ones that are going to be the worst spreaders of the virus. So because of everything going on. I feel like it's probably more from breathing that causes this virus, but that's nothing but a gut feel. So there's no science behind that. The more we can keep people breathing hard out in the crating areas and let them breathe hard in the arena, I think we're better off. Video trials might also be a great thing to do. So, you know, I know AKC started it up for Raleigh. I've got a place here where I can put several cameras up. May have a way that I can pull this stuff down and off of several different camera feeds or something like that. You know, we could work on stuff like that. Anybody who wants to talk to me about doing something like that, I'm always open to ideas, always open to finding ways to be safer and still get to play with our dogs. I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. I have a tendency to get pretty long-winded in these things, and I apologize for that. But I think it's important that we start getting this information out and figure out what dog shows are going to look like. It looks like they're getting close to coming back, so I'm really excited about it. So again, you guys please share this video so so we can get more comments, and I'll do updates where I feel like I can and where I feel like I have something to say. And let's be safe out there. Everybody stay safe. Thanks for watching, and we will see you guys very soon. Take care.